Okay, so we are live. So welcome. We are here with Ganel-Lyn Condie, the author of the Stewardship Principle, which we're going to talk about tonight. I'm so excited for this. I actually read this over the weekend.
Oh, good.
I have to tell you, I cried about it just a little.
Oh, good.
It was definitely good tears, but it was so good. And
Thank
it's
you.
not like a huge read either. So it was something like I could fit in my busy schedule, which was fun.
Yeah. I'm happy that we can talk about it more, but I'm happy that when I knew I needed to write this book, that we took a really big principle and made it doable for someone that maybe hasn't heard about it, and expansive for some of you that are familiar and want more. So
Right. It was very manageable, but like it didn't feel brief. Like I
good.
felt like I was, edified with it. And like
Good.
it was a good book. I liked it a
Thank
lot.
you.
And
And I'm not paying her, you guys, to say that. So
she's not at all. No, totally on my own. I read it over the weekend and loved it. There's the different topics that you talk about, and the one that really touched me was the physical body aspect one.
Woo! That's a dicey stewardship for all of us,
Yes,
right?
yes, it is
I
definitely.
would say parenthood and bodies are usually the ones that everyone's like, yeah, I need to get out of
Mhm.
ownership on that. So
Yes,
yeah.
definitely.
And I need to tell everyone that's watching live. I don't know if anyone's watching live yet. I'm looking for comments for my coronavirus earrings that I told Jessica I bought right at the beginning of the pandemic. And when my hair is not feeling like it's cooperating like it is today, I put them on to distract. So sometimes I get hate for wearing them. And I'm okay with that. It's a stewardship. And so I'm pulling them out to celebrate. They're literally pom-poms. So I feel like they're a little celebratory. So
They are,
yeah.
they're fun. They're cute. They're so cute.
Hi, I see a few people on. Hello.
Yes, so we are going to do a giveaway tonight as we're doing this. So comment, that's how you're going to enter the giveaway. And we'll leave this running up throughout the weekend. So if you're not watching live tonight, then you can, still have an opportunity to win. But let me show you what the prizes are. So we've got a little booklet, the Let God Prevail, which is also fabulous. Just love it. And then the matching necklace, which is so
Which
cute.
I'm not wearing mine tonight, but I pretty much wear it every single day, and I probably need to buy a second one because I rub it all the time, and it's so fun. My daughter's friends have that necklace, and the full-time missionaries in our stake have that necklace, and so I see it everywhere, and it makes me so happy because it's like this little mini version of the cover of that book. So
It's so cute.
yeah.
I know you can't really see like a good picture of it like from
Yeah.
the screen.
Yeah, it says, yeah, that's good right there. Let God prevail is right there at the bottom. Yeah, it's so cute.
And then we've got the cute little plaque that says "Let God Prevail."
So cute.
So
Yeah, we're not giving away the stewardship principle so that you'll go and order it. That's what Jessica told me. So that means that you get more of me if you get all the giveaway stuff and you order the stewardship book, right?
Yes, definitely. And so we actually have an event tomorrow. If you guys want to attend and join us, you can pick up your copy. We are going to be at the American Fork Seagull Book location. So that's tomorrow from 5 to 7:30. And you don't have to be here for it all, but you're definitely going to want to be here from like 6:30 to 7:30, I feel like. You're going to hear from Ganel-Lyn, and then we have like the Q&A and signing at the end. But to start off, we're just going to do like a meet and greet, mingle, have some fun. There's going to be giveaways. We might have some treats. So yeah.
It's going to be so much fun. I'm so excited. And if you live close enough by that you can come, I feel like after the last 2 years, we were not able to do book signings. We released Let God Prevail without book signings. Both the Real Talk journals came out without book signings. And so it's nice to have the opportunity to be in person again. And I love that the Seagull book in American Fork is kind of our flagship store. It's a beautiful store.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Sweet Salt clothing is there, and it's right by the Hobby Lobby. So I would just say you're close to Target, you're close to Hobby Lobby. If you have any errands you need to get done before the weekend, like come and stop by at the event, because it's going to be a party. And it really, for me to be able to see people in person and hug people, because I'm a hugger, it feels like a gift that I don't want to take for granted, because the last few years we weren't able to do that. And this book means a lot to me. It's my 9th book. I have 3 talks out on CD, and I've worked on a number of projects. But this is, I told Jessica the first time we talked about this event and this book feels like one of the things I was sent to earth to write. And that might sound really dramatic, but when you know that there is something that you are supposed to share with the world, that weighs heavy on your heart. And this principle has changed my life completely the last about 10 years, so a decade of thinking and studying and talking and sharing it. To have it out in book form, like it's like giving birth. So to have this baby out in the world and alive, for my Real Talk listeners, they know that I've been talking about stewardship all last year a lot. I've done quite a few interviews on other well-known podcasts where I've talked about it. And so to have it in book form just feels like such a gift. And I'm so grateful for everyone that's organized the event for tomorrow, because it feels like a celebration of something really important that I know God has asked me to share. And so thank you, Jessica, because you have really done a lot of the heavy lifting on organizing this event. And I hope I know everyone's busy, and I know it's spring and it's almost May, and May around our house right now is insane. We have our baby graduating high school, and so I just feel so grateful that we're going to be able to celebrate something like this. And so if you have time to stop by, I would love to see you. And I see some friends. I was in Mesquite, Nevada this last Saturday speaking to a huge, amazing group there. And obviously most of the people in Nevada, I do know there are some people driving multiple hours to come to the event tomorrow night. So if you're one of those people that are driving to come see me, I just feel grateful, especially with what gas costs right now. So yeah.
Okay. So officially the release date for this book is May 2nd. And it's available on Siegel Books website, as well as Amazon and Desert Book. And I'm going to post later tonight a link where you can go and to purchase all of these as well.
Yeah.
And pick your preferred.
And that is probably a plug for everyone that has been on the fence about showing up tomorrow night. You'll get it a weekend ahead of everybody else if you show up. So it's early access to the book.
And it will be signed.
And it will be signed. Yes. I have one of my copies. I keep having them disappear. So I'm really grateful. Can I just, Jessica, talk about the cover really quick?
Yes, please do. Share.
When you have 9 books out there and 3 CDs, there's a lot of discussion that goes into covers. And the artwork of this feels really personal. It feels like a full circle moment. Emma Taylor did this, and I knew Emma Taylor years and years ago when I first learned about the Stewardship Principle, and she was just painting for herself. Like, she wasn't an artist that you could buy her work. And so I knew this book needed to be written for the last couple of years. And so I've been looking at artwork for probably a year and a half, trying to find art that would depict this principle. And for those of you that can see, the Savior is right there. But I love this painting because it shows every demographic, every age group, every nationality, every walk of life. And that's who the book was written for. And so people go, well, who's this book written for? And I say, it's for everyone. It is 68 pages. So it is 9 chapters, but it is not overwhelming. And that includes an introduction that kind of gives you the backstory. But I really, really feel so excited to hear how other people take this book and then it reframes their life, which is what the subtitle is. And then I had a friend today, she just got an advance copy. She runs a magazine here locally and owns it. And so she got her advanced copy and she said, I love the cover because it's like textured. It's a really beautiful cover. It's It's got some texture to it. And so I'm really proud of it, but I'm also really proud that the cover price is $8.99. It's on sale at Seagull Book. It's been on sale for pre-order on Amazon and on Seagull. So for me, it feels like anyone can pick it up because it's for everyone. It's not too expensive and it's not too long. And I was taping a book promo that's, I think, going to be dropping next week about it. And the men that were in the studio, so it was all men and just me, and they were getting emotional, crying. And I love that when men cry. And when I'm talking about books and they had these epiphanies, they were like, oh my gosh, this book is like for corporate America. And I'm like, yes, it's for corporate America. And it's for tired moms. It's for teenagers that have addiction. It's for young single adults that aren't married and want to be. It's for a grandma suffering with cancer. It's for the husband that just lost his job. It's for everyone. And because we all have different stewardships. And so I'm feeling so grateful that this day is here. And I love the response we've had on Real Talk from our Real Talkers that have been asking. At Christmas time, everyone thought it would be out. And so they were like, where can we go buy the stewardship book? And I'm like, it's not out yet. So yeah, I'm just grateful it's here. And then, for me on a personal level, Real Talk fans and those that hear me speak and those have read my other books, May 1st is my sister Meg's birthday. And so it feels really tender to me that this book is dropping next week officially globally. And it's a really good way to celebrate her birthday. So yeah, I'm so grateful for this event and for the book. And yeah, if you want to ask me any questions, Jessica, I can just keep talking and talking. So you interrupt me if you want to ask me in a specific question.
Well, it's such like a relevant topic too. Like you could literally go on about this for hours and just, you could learn and grow from it, just listening from you.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I feel like that is what I've already teased, is that it was really overwhelming and I kind of avoided for a few months starting the process of writing, because I know that any principle, that's why we titled it the Stewardship Principle, any principle gets applied. And the last chapter of the book, chapter 9, is about practicing, not perfection. So anytime there's a principle, it's not a one or done, or it's not a place on a map where you arrive and you figure it out. So for 10 years, I've known about this. My friend Andrea is who I dedicated the book to. And Andrea talked to me about this curriculum she had found where stewardships is mentioned. And in my mind, all these years, I thought that the most of this curriculum was about stewardship. When I went to start researching this book and wanting to really put into application in book form this principle, I went back to that original curriculum and I combed through it, and it was literally like one, maybe two sentences out of all these chapters. And I thought, isn't that interesting? When you think of a principle, it's expansive. It's not narrowing. And so then my next step that was really overwhelming is, how do I take something that could be applied to everything and write it in a book that's not overwhelming,
Yeah.
And how do I write it in a way that if someone had never heard of it before, they would go, okay, I get it. I'm starting to understand. And then how do I write it in a way that for people that already get it, really want to see more application and a deeper dive? And so, Jessica, it makes me really happy that you said that when you read it this weekend, it felt that way to you, because I didn't want to overwhelm readers, but I wanted to, especially for my Real Talk fans and those that have been asking for this, that they would feel like they get more meat. Because when I started talking about it on Real Talk and giving interviews about it last year, Jessica, honestly, I probably had 150 personal requests to take me to lunch so that I would tell them more about stewardship. And I kept saying, if I go to lunch with everyone, I can't write the book. And if I hurry and write the book, then you can read it and pass it on to your friends and family. And so what I really did is talk about the fact that once you understand this principle, you can't unsee it. You start to see it in every area of your life. And I give this little, I'm going to give a preview here. I give this little analogy. I don't know if you guys remember this activity from school where you're shown this picture and do you see the faces or the vase?
Mm-hmm.
And then once you see it, you can't unsee what you're trying to see. That's how I feel about stewardship. Once you see it, then you can't unknow it. Then you know that everything in your life is a stewardship. So today I was late to an appointment. I was spending 2 hours trying to help my daughter design her graduation announcements. I was taking care of the dog. I had laundry to do. I had an interview to give. I had this live to do, and I'm prepping for Real Talk taping, right? So those are just some of my stewardships. But in the middle of that, I also had a massage appointment because one of my stewardships is my chronic health. And so I do preventive work for that. So the way I designed the book is really, I tried to take stewardships that kind of relate. And there's 2 per chapter so that they kind of relate. And in that way, I hope that it feels like it layers it. So I would love to write 20 more versions of this where I tackle 200 more stewardships. But I felt like I really prayed to God and said, help me identify kind of the top ones that maybe snag us or frustrate us or overwhelm us or discourage us or make us happy. You know, their stewardships are happy. They're not all hard things. Stewardships are just everything. And so I tried to create little categories of stewardship. So like body is talked about with mind, and parenthood is with childhood, because you may not be a parent, but you're definitely someone's child, right? And so what is that like to have a parent that stewardship relationship, right? Education is with career, relationships are with marriage, money is with possession, service is with mission, time is with talents. And so that kind of gives a preview that each of the chapters, I end each chapter with a stewardship voice list and an ownership voice list, because the opposite of stewardship is ownership. And you know what's interesting, Jessica, is people have kind of pushed back when they knew this book was coming, because it makes it seem like I'm saying you shouldn't take responsibility, that we shouldn't have ownership. And that is actually the opposite. I have found that as a steward, I stay more engaged. I don't become hands off. For example, as a parent of adult children, I am engaged in their lives as a parent, but it looks very different than when they were 10. You know, I have a 24-year-old that lives in Hawaii, and my 18-year-old daughter is graduating high school and moving out in August to go to college. So as a steward in their life, parenting, I'm not saying that I don't have a responsibility, but I definitely don't own them. And I think the ownership snag or trap happens most often with our bodies and with parenting. I would say that my ownership voice takes over in those 2 stewardships all the time. You know, when my chronic illness is flaring up, which it has been the last few months, I'm 51, I'm perimenopausal, I have some other, it's easy to get frustrated that then I go into ownership. But stewardship of my body allows me to kind of step back and include God and stay hopeful. When I'm in ownership, though, I'm comparing this body to my neighbor's body or to someone on TV's body or to what I think the perfect version of my body should be. When I'm in ownership with my kids, then I'm taking ownership of their choices, their grades, their messy room, their whatever it is. And so I really hope people see that stewardship isn't getting you off the hook. It is keeping you engaged in a higher, holier way.
Right. I think it gives you a little bit more control too, because then you know it's not all up to you, that there is, God is with you in this partnership.
Yeah.
And
I've had people ask, is it just for LDS audience? It's not. I mean, I definitely use some references that have to deal with my faith, but my readers are so amazing. My readers are of all demographics and all religions, and they know that my faith is my faith. But I would say, hands down, out of every book I've written, You Are More Than Enough, You Are Magnificent, specifically, I've heard people share that. And I Can Do Hard Things with God, my first book, with people of all faiths, because I think we can all relate that a Catholic has some of the same stewardship responsibilities as we do, and they may approach them in a different way when it comes to faith, but they're dealing with losing jobs and raising kids and broken down cars and paying bills and getting a raise and an advancement or graduating college, right? So I really hope that no matter who your friend group is or your family and how they look, that you'll buy a copy for yourself because it's a doable price point, and then share a copy because it's not going to offend someone. Even though I do talk about faith, it doesn't feel to me like, and maybe Jessica, since you just read it, you could say this, answer this. It's not going to feel like you're trying to convert someone to our faith when you read it.
No, definitely not. No,
Yeah.
I very, like you said, like for the cover, it's very inclusive. And I feel like it's very inclusive on the inside as well. It's for all faiths, all, life types, moms. I feel like this is a great gift to give kids as they're graduating. Like a good,
sure.
Yes.
I hope it is a huge graduation gift instead of the Dr. Seuss book, because
this is a much better option.
Yes, because we really do talk about education, and I talk about my husband and my son's ADD, and I talk about how education and career decisions are different stewardships for different people. And maybe you go to college and maybe you don't. Maybe high school was easy, maybe it was hard. I hope that we will make this the new graduation gift because it's so great. And I have a question here on the comments from Book Pickler that said, when did you begin to see the stewardship principle in your life, and how ownership is the opposite? Well, I mean, the problem is, honestly, Book Pickler, I'm constantly still slipping into ownership. That's the whole idea, is that, like today, I had a little bit of a meltdown, and I know that part of the emotion I was feeling was healthy. I needed to emote, but some of the emotion was ownership I was having over some situations. And so you will catch yourself switching back and forth all day long. But the way I write the book, I'm going to just turn to a random page to answer this question. So at the end of every chapter, I give four ways in which what voice you're listening to. Because sometimes it's the story I'm telling myself in my head. It's not actually what's happening. That's the problem. So I wanted to make it sound like a voice, so that are you starting to tune the radio to the voice of an owner, or are you tuning the stewardship dial up? So this chapter is chapter 3, body and mind. Jessica, this is a good one, right? Yeah. So ownership in your body is kind of obvious. I'm just going to say that. But ownership sounds like I have to do it all. My body is worthless. I'm being punished for something, and I don't want to live. So I talk about mental health in this chapter as well. And so right there, that ownership voice, maybe those aren't exactly the words you're hearing, but we can relate to feeling like we're hearing this message all the time about our minds or our bodies. That's an ownership voice. The opposite of that voice would be something like this. Stewardship says this: I have something to share from my challenges. I see how I am relying more on the Savior through this adversity. God keeps his promises and is helping me become more like him. I will foster hope by trying a different plan from my current one. So right there, the reason I give those little voices at the end is because I hope people read this, and then through the Spirit, they start feeling like they start identifying, oh, that's an ownership voice. And then they start to sound and hear the sound of a stewardship voice and feel the difference. Because you will start to feel like, okay, like my husband just posted this, so I can say this publicly. We have a neighborhood Facebook group, and it's pretty huge, like neighborhood wise. It's a new development that's grown over 8 years. And so every time they add another phase, the page group grows. And so I posted about the event tomorrow night on the Facebook group, and my husband commented on there, and he's not a big social media guy. He's a little more private. And so I let him choose when he comments publicly, but we got the advance copy the week he got COVID. and he was double vaccinated and boosted, but he works in the healthcare industry, and he got very sick, and he has asthma. And so he laid in the basement for a week, very sick. And my daughter and I stayed upstairs with all the precautions. But he read it one night, shivering and sick as can be, because it had just come. And he posted on the Facebook page group that I had just shared the event tomorrow night, that it changed how he battled COVID that week, because he all of a sudden, and he's lived with me for 10 years. So this isn't like surprise. He didn't know about the principle. I've talked about it for a lot of years, but it helped him reframe what was actually a really difficult week. And he was really sick, and it changed how he saw COVID. So stewardship doesn't mean that you skip down the street happy because you've lost a job, or you're going through a divorce, or your kid is in prison, or your car just broke down again for the 10th time. Stewardship just reframes it so that you see it not as God punishing you or you doing something wrong, but as something that he trusts you with.
I loved at the end that how you included the two voices. It helped a lot. Like as I was reading it, I was like, oh yeah, I do that. I do that. I do that. I'm like, okay, this is a good way to change my mind, where you're already giving suggestions on how to do it. So I don't have to come up with something on my own.
Yeah. And that's hard as an author. Like, I really believe in the power of the written word, and that like a book lives a long time. So I started my very first book never thinking I would write 9 books. And it was because I'd gone through a really hard time. And I wished I had had a friend that related to it. And so I wrote I Can Do Hard Things with God, which is the first of the 3 With God series books, for that idea of like, instead of taking someone a casserole when you're sick, or you're going through a divorce, or you've lost your job, what do you do to help people? I believe in the power of books, because I have heard from thousands of readers that say, someone handed me one of your books as a gift one day, and then when I was ready, I opened the book up, and it was exactly what I needed, because I was ready to read it, And so, not that flowers aren't great to receive, but they die, and a book can live. And so I really did want to write it, like you said, Jessica, in a way that it gave people enough so they could start to understand, but not so much that it was prescriptive. I don't want any of my readers to ever feel like if they don't do it the way I wrote it, they're doing life wrong. Because I don't have all the answers, but I'm definitely willing to have the conversation.
Yeah, no, it's totally helpful, because it gave a nice framework for me to like switch my mind, but like I can change the verbiage or the stewardship that I, take part of to fit me, where someone else is going to use, different words, different ideas.
Yeah. That's why the subtitle sometimes gets ignored, but I think the subtitle for this one is very intentional. I know it's reframing your life. I give the example of a beautiful drawing someone gave me, but I didn't love the frame that it was in. And so I redid it. And so I write about that in the book, that like, when I look at it, it's still the same frame, but I had reframed it. I changed it just enough that now when I see it, it reflects more what I like. And that's what this principle will do for you. There's literally nothing that we're living through right now that's not a stewardship. There's nothing we own that's not a stewardship. There's nothing in our bodies, in our houses, in our families, in our faith, in our education. Everything in our lives is a stewardship. And so when you think that way, it changes everything. It's like, I give the example of my friend Ari. When I started telling her about this principle, she said, hurry and write this book. It's like realizing that I was putting diesel in my car the whole time, and it wasn't a diesel engine. It was a gas engine. I mean, it's still fuel. It's just not going to get you very far.
Right.
And so you can go into ownership. I do all the time. I wrote this book and I still go into ownership, but it doesn't get me very far. I get really stuck along the way when I go into ownership for too long. I stop knowing how to be the best mom, the best wife, the best Real Talk host, the best author, the best dog owner, whatever, home owner, car owner. We have another car repair. We've had probably 10 car repairs in the last 6 weeks, and I'm done with them. But that's the stewardship of owning a car. Like you got to get it in and you got to fix the car and, those kinds of things. So I love that Denise Newbold said, I need that in my life. And Allison said, this is intriguing. So I hope, my prayer is that this is one of those things that we just keep adding to the ideas that come, that these 68 pages that I've put together are the jumping off for everybody. But it's enough for people to go, okay, like I said, I was introduced to it with 2 sentences 10 years ago. That's all I had. So I've spent 10 years living it, applying it, practicing it, and that's where this book has come from. Oh, good. I'm so excited to see you and hear you speak and have dinner with an amazing friend in between. Julie Skinner's coming up. That's so nice. I love that we get to be in person. So I'm super excited about that.
I know. I'm so excited for tomorrow. We're going to have so much fun. And if you've loved listening to Ganel-Lyn talk today, just kind of touching on some of the points, you get to hear her tomorrow too. And we'll have like a whole presentation for that.
Yeah. I want to share a little message and then have time for Q&A, which doesn't always happen at a book signing. And for those that can't come tomorrow night, I know we're going to post links for how to order it, but we also have quite a few book signings coming up in the next couple of weeks and months. And so I'm excited to be able to be back in stores and meeting people like I used to do back in the day. I feel like I was doing so many book signings for years and then they just all came to a stop. So if you can't come Thursday night, I hope you'll stop by at one of the other signings, and I post about them and Sequel Book posts about them. And so, I'm excited, but thank you to everyone that's planning on coming tomorrow. And it just means the world to me, because it's like when you have a new baby and everyone wants to come visit and see your baby for this first time. As an author, that's what it feels like when your book comes out. So
yeah, I want to share a couple quotes that I really enjoyed from the book.
Awesome.
And let's see. Okay. Stewarding leads to a newfound freedom from fear. Your burdens won't magically disappear or be removed, but as the scriptures promise, they will be eased. And I loved this. Loved it. I loved that you didn't promise that this was going to be a magical, cure-all type of thing, but it would help us in the long run. So I loved this quote.
Yeah, I really love the idea of the freedom that comes when there's less fear. And for me, fear is usually a sign I'm in ownership. So it's one of the signals that I've slipped into ownership. So it's really a good check for me to go, oh, okay, then how do I step back into stewardship? If I know I've gone into ownership, how do I step back out?
And the other one was, the ownership lens quickly leads to burnout and pessimism. But when you begin to see everything is a stewardship, none of your efforts are lost, no matter what happens.
Oh, yeah, this leads to one of the principles that we haven't even talked about tonight, but I probably will talk about it tomorrow night for those that are coming. This hints to my idea that I talk about, which is offering versus outcome. One of the other ways in which I know I'm in ownership is I focus on outcomes. And when I know I'm in stewardship, I'm way more focused on the offering. And that sounds easy to say when you're living it, especially when it comes to parenting or your career or your education. If you're dealing with a learning disability, especially, offerings are hard. It's hard to stay in that mindset because, especially in the church, we talk so much about you'll know them by their fruits. And I used to think, well, okay, what if all the fruit on my tree is like rotten and falling on the ground and worms are in it? Like, then does that mean like I messed up everything in my stewarding? And it doesn't mean that at all. It means that for me, what I've really come in stewardship mindset is that the offering is the outcome. Like, really, I start the book out. I gave an interview yesterday with a great podcast, and it's not out yet, but it will be. If you follow me on social media, I'll share it. I didn't even tell her, she didn't have an advanced copy of the book, but we were talking about stewardships. Shock, but she was asking me about the book, and all of a sudden she had an epiphany and she said, oh, it reminds me of the parable of the talents in the Bible. And I said, did you read the book? Like, that's the first Bible story example I give, is that I believe in the parable of the talents. The Spirit showed me when I worked on this book that maybe the person that was given, the servant that was given the one talent, it was an ownership problem. That it probably was a stewardship that didn't feel so great when their friend got 5. And so, the example, I don't know if anyone can relate to this image, but that idea of like, God, you gave me only an addiction, or you gave me only chronic illness, or you gave me only a child that is special needs that will never go away to college. How is that something, a gift? And then when you're in offering standpoint for chronic illness or relationships or financial situations or loneliness or whatever, it's easy to be like, there's no different outcome. It's staying the same. It's the same. And so you can see where that servant buried that talent. Like, well, what am I going to do with one lame-o stewardship? And buries it. And then the, master comes back and is like, okay, what'd you do with it? And the other servants are like, well, this is what I did. I did offerings, right? And offerings created some increase. And then the one that had buried was like, you did nothing. Well, then you're going to lose that. And so in the economy of God, I think we as mortals measure everything by outcome. How many views, how many book sales, how many promotions, what your grades are, how much money in your bank account, what does the scale say? Did you run the marathon, right? All outcome thinking. But in my opinion, in God's economy, he is much more concerned with our offering. He wants to see what we are willing to sacrifice and consecrate. And to me, that's stewardship. And so I really, really love the idea of that quote. I know I wrote it, but I really love, I really love it when I like what I write, And for those people that this is maybe a good time to plug the audiobook. Like I did record the audiobook for this book. I have not recorded the audiobook for all of my books because a little known secret in the publishing world, not all authors are great at reading their own books. And so the first few books that came out, I think my first audiobook was I Can Choose Joy with God, because they had professionals that read the books. And so they decided to take a chance. And I think it was because they had seen I was doing other things, on a more like with a mic in front of me kind of events. And it went well. And so it's very nerve-wracking to read your own book, because then you have to hear it out loud sometimes and go, wait, why did I write it that way? But I love it when I read myself and go, oh yeah, that was really good. Who thought of that? Oh, it was me. Sometimes I surprise myself, Jessica. Okay, sometimes
like I gotta like highlight this. You're like, oh wait, I wrote this. Never mind.
Oh, I wrote this. This is really good. Yeah, you shouldn't be so focused on the outcomes.
It's just a good reminder for yourself, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Too funny. Yeah. There's just so many good ones. I seriously pulled like dozens of quotes from there.
Oh, good. Well, I just realized that you've shared those with me, so I'm going to start sharing them. I didn't know they were done and ready, so I'm excited because you do a good job designing them, and so it makes my words look prettier.
Well, I haven't made a graphic for this one, but I do want to share this one. Let me find it on my list, because I thought it was it was just like something that made me laugh a little bit in it.
Oh, good. I like it when, you know what, Jessica, while you're trying to find it, someone came out to me at the speaking event in Nevada that I just did Saturday. And this group, this stake had bought like 900 copies of the giveaway book. So Let God Prevail. And so everyone got invited to the event with that book as part of their invitation, which I just think it just makes me so, so happy. And, but one person, I love really honest, real people. I mean, that probably is not a shock to anyone. No, if you watch Real Talk, you know that I value real. That's why it's called Real Talk. So she came up to me and she was completely honest. And she was like, listen, I didn't even want to come today. And she had read Let God Prevail and liked it, but she felt like it was a little serious. She wasn't sure, like the humor, it's a small little booklet and it's a little more concise. And so maybe it's not my funniest book. Okay. So it was, anyways, she goes, but you're really funny. You talk about really hard stuff. And then then we're laughing. And I'm like, well, that's my favorite thing, is if you're crying and you're laughing and we're feeling the spirit, then I feel like we did a good job. So
Yes. Then,
if this quote made you laugh, that makes me happy, Jessica.
okay. So says, I don't have a specific scientific study to back me up on this claim, but I challenge you to prove me wrong. There are no perfect parents on the planet. None. I just thought that was so funny. And then you go into the stewardship of being a parent, and I'm not a parent, just straight off, but it was so impactful just reading it, for myself and, for a future time in my life.
Well, I tell my son that firstborns always get a jar for therapy in the future because they're the practice pancake, and then you figure out a few things with one kid, and then the next kid comes and they're totally different. And so you really don't, if God was waiting for perfect prophets, there'd be no prophets. Perfect parents, there would be no parents. Perfect people, there are no people. I like a good alliteration, so I just gave you prophets, parents, and people right there. So
Perfect. But yeah, this book, seriously though, is for everyone. I loved it. So good. I'm so excited for us to talk about it more tomorrow, and to have people come and give their mind and kind of visit with us.
Yeah, and come at the beginning and hang out if you want. But we're also, I'm grateful there'll be a chance for me to talk and share some thoughts and answer any questions. And it's going to be a party. And after the last 2 years, we need things to celebrate. Hey, Amy. Amy just hopped on here, so we need to say hi to Amy. Amy is the best. Will photos be offered? Absolutely, Julie. You drive in to come see me, I will take a picture with you any day. Any day. I would love to do that. And hugs, they're free. Whether you're a hugger or not, right, Amy? You're going to get a hug from me. Amy learned that pretty quickly when we started working together on Real Talk. So I think, Jessica, the first time I met you, I hugged you too, right?
Yes,
Yeah. And I don't usually ask till after I go in for the hug, which is probably not good boundaries, but whatever. Yeah.
Gotta show Amy's quote.
Oh, yes. Thanks, Amy. Oh, sweet Amy knows. She's the one who's been listening to me talk about it forever and ever and ever. So it feels like she's celebrating the birth of this baby too. So where and when tomorrow? Denise wants to know. Do you want to put that invite up again?
Yes. So it doesn't have where because it's just the Seagull Book in America Fork, but let me find the graphic again.
So the Seagull Book in American Fork is right by the Hobby Lobby and across the street from Target. So it's really there's great Cubbies across the street. So there's a Habit Burger there. So from 5 to 6:30, we're just going to hang out. You can buy books. I'm happy to sign them. We're going to hang out. And then I'm going to share a little message and some Q&A and some more signing. So I love John Hilton. He got one of the advanced copies of the manuscript before it ever went to print. He's actually one of the people that I talked with almost now a year ago when I knew it was time to start writing this. And I love his endorsement because he's someone I really admire and respect. And he's very smart and he's written lots of books and he's an amazing professor. He was on Real Talk last year. And yes, Amy, there's a Wallabies. You're right. There's a Wallabies right across the street too. I love John Hilton, and for him to say that the best books are those that change the way you think. This is one of those books. I mean, I couldn't have asked. I didn't pay him to do that, and I'm so grateful that that's how he felt about it because he's read a lot and written a lot, and so his endorsement feels like a gift.
Okay. So just a reminder, we're doing our giveaway for those of you that are just tuning in. We're giving away the cute little Let God Prevail plaque.
Which I need to get. I told Jessica I don't even have one in my house, and that should be against the law.
And then Let God Prevail little booklet. And then the matching necklace. Let's see if you can get a good.
Oh, there it is. It's one of my favorites. And I love it at the high school when I see kids wearing it. That makes me happy too. So
I love it. I love that it's just so simple and just very classic. Love it.
Yeah. Where are we putting the links to the order?
Yes. So after we are done, I will be posting a link so that you can place orders. We still have some pre-orders that you can do that will have a signed copy. I think
Yeah, I just went to the office this week and signed my little hand off with all for all the pre-order books. So yeah. And I just want to say again, if you cannot, I know people are crazy scheduled. Rebecca wants to know how she gets in the drawing. Do we want to clarify that, Jessica?
Oh, yeah. Just keep commenting, tag people,
Yeah, tag people in this and let them know, because we're gonna save this video, so it will be available when we're not live. What was I saying? I just lost my train of thought. I don't know what I was saying. I was saying something important. It felt very important. If you cannot, I know how busy people are, and if you cannot come tomorrow, we have another book signing coming up in a few weeks in Layton. I'm going to be doing some surprise pop-up signings at Siegel Books along the Wasatch Front, and you're just going to have to watch my Instagram and Facebook for those notifications, but I'm going to stop in some stores and sign some books. And then we have some summer signings already scheduled. So if you can't come in person tomorrow night to celebrate the official launch, I hope people will still try to find a signing to stop by. But I love, Jessica, what you suggested for it being a graduation gift. I just feel like for those that are making big decisions and trying to decide stewardships of serving missions and college and graduating college and career, and maybe they don't have a job yet, or maybe they dropped out of school, we cover all of that. And I cover all of that in the book, and it's not overwhelming. It's 68 pages and it's for every age group and walk of life. So yeah. You were talking about signing books, and if you can't make it tomorrow, how do I get into the drawing? Oh, thanks, Rebecca. Rebecca was helping me when I couldn't remember what I was talking about. Thanks, Rebecca. I really hope it becomes the Mother's Day, graduation, and Father's Day gift for the next few months, because it covers all those groups, and it's an under $10 gift. So I really know that people are struggling financially. The stewardship right now of money is a real thing for a lot of families and individuals. And so I'm so grateful that this beautiful cover that is like really beautiful, like textured, you can't feel it, but all the little letters are up, and it's so beautiful that people can afford it. So yeah. And if you can't afford it, would you please private message me? Every once in a while, I assume that something under $10 is doable, but let me just say, I write about it in the book. We have been through unemployment where $10 feels like $10,000. And so in all seriousness, if you need this book and you cannot find the $8, I hope that you get a message to someone, and we'll make sure you get a copy. I don't want anyone feeling like, if they're in that space, living that life experience right now, you need this book more than anything. So.
And we also have a blog tour scheduled later.
Oh, yes.
That would be a good way to win one. We're going to give away a couple copies. So just keep an eye out on social media. There's going to be some ways to win stuff.
Yes. Also, just, this doesn't have to do with Siegel Book, but they are giving away a copy of both of my books, You Are More Than Enough, You Are Magnificent, which won Best of State. So did Let God Prevail. Let God Prevail just won Best of State. Yes, so I'm really proud of that. And a copy of the Stewardship Principle. This Saturday, I'm speaking at the Larry H. Miller campus in Sandy, Utah, and there are still tickets for that. I'm the keynote for the Lifted Summit, and there's two of my signed books that are giveaways. So if you want to get a little break from all the busyness of what's coming up in May for women, not men, sorry, this event is for you on Saturday. And I would love to see you there. If you can't make it Thursday, I would love to see you. I know on the Lifted Summit, they're still selling tickets for that. And I would love to, I'm sure we're going to be talking stewardship, because I feel like a broken record right now. That's what I talk about a lot. So Oh, good. Thanks, Allison. Allison's starting a list of family and friends who would love this. Oh, good. That makes me so happy. Well, Book Pickler just asked for the second edition. I don't know. It's interesting today. I did have a little idea that came to mind that would be an addition to the stewardship, but we'll have to see it. Let's get this one out in the world and see what people are feeling, and we'll go from there. There are a couple more book projects on my heart, so I definitely hope to be still sharing some books in the future.
Well, I think that we've given a good kind of sneak of what we're going to do tomorrow.
Yeah. Jessica said we were going to not make this very long. We went a little longer than.
No, I feel like it's all good things, though. There's so much to talk about with this book. Even though it's not a big book, but it's so impactful. So seriously, guys, you should go and pick it up. You should come visit us tomorrow.
Yes, I love it.
We might give away a copy tomorrow or some other things by Ganel-Lyn you will have to come and see. And then we have just lots of fun things planned this summer, and it will just all be great.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you hopefully tomorrow at the American Fork Seagull Book. Would love to hang out with you and say hello.